So your brain and the internet is always saying, get hobbies, have passions and interests outside of work. Rest is resistance. But your wallet,
I've only got 7.
she says otherwise. Well, hi, long time no see. Welcome back to the Bougie Black Girls YouTube channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Dana, and I think a little over a year ago now, I made a video about how I manage all my different hobbies and interests, and I talk about it a lot on TikTok. And yeah, I consider myself a little bit of a professional hobbyist. I am a pole dancer, and I teach pole classes. I am a reader. I love to cook, and generally just kind of an all-around baddie. And in truth, a lot of my hobbies do cost money. There is a dollar amount associated with them. And I know it's getting harder and harder as things get more and more and more expensive for a lot of us to find time or the disposable income to invest in something outside of our traditional 9-to-5 jobs. So I kind of want to talk about how we can navigate that as like a follow-up to that original video. So if that is of interest to you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's just get started. I think it's really important to understand that there's going to be different iterations of your hobbies and interests. There's, of course, like the right perfect version of your hobby, but then there's also the right now version of your hobby. The sheer nature of so many hobbies just makes it so there is a dollar amount associated with them. And, as much as I would love to have a ton of disposable income, I know personally my wallet has taken a hit with all of the drastic changes that the United States has been going through for the past 2 years. Disposable income just isn't what it used to be, and it doesn't look like we're on a path where that is going to change anytime soon. But if we wait for things to be perfectly settled and aligned, we're just never going to get anywhere, because for most of us regular folks, that perfect situation, that perfect scenario just simply doesn't exist. So I think that's why it's really important for people to think about the right now version of their hobby and how they can start collecting things and working towards whatever that, perfect air quotes version of it is. An example I gave one of my friends recently is that she really wants to get into tennis, really wants to step into her Venus, Serena, Coco era, but sometimes tennis can be a very expensive hobby, especially if you are wanting to reach a certain level between equipment and lessons and access to certain court spaces and attire. You're looking at dropping upwards of, $500 just in the first year. And that's not disposable income that she feels like she can give up right now. And so in our conversations, we've been talking about finding ways to start the hobby where she's at now, making it fit her lifestyle and not vice versa. So instead of buying, a brand new racket, can she find one locally or online to thrift? Can she get some affordable attire from Walmart or again, from a thrift store to start? Can she, instead of taking, lessons at a country club, can she find a couple of tutorials online and a free tennis court at a local park and just kind of allocate a couple days a week to building the fundamentals, and then, in that process, start looking at her finances in her life and finding ways over the next 3, 6, 9 months to save up money to be able to invest in the elevated version of the hobby that she sort of has in her mind. And that's just one very basic example, but I think that there's so many instances where that can be true. The big, shiny, flashy, expensive starting point does not always have to be where we get our foot in the door. And while this video is about being able to afford our hobbies, I do think time is a different side of that same coin, because a lot of us do not have time to pursue hobbies and interests because we need to be using that time to make money to eat or to keep children alive. And busy moms, the girlies with demanding full-time jobs, I see you. I think that is a valid reason to have not pursued more interest in more things outside of just working. But I kind of want to encourage you in a similar way that time waits for nobody. And so you can wait until your job gets less busy. You can wait until your kids get older to pursue things. But, I just have been very aware over the past couple of years that tomorrow is not promised. And so instead of waiting for, again, those perfect circumstances, I want to encourage you to maybe think about finding ways to work these interests into the lifestyle that you have right now. Take out a pen and a piece of paper and literally just kind of write down what you do every day from morning to the time you go to bed for a week. And then in that list of what you are doing with your time, see if you can find an hour or two just once a week to pursue an interest. Or even better, see if you can find something that you're already doing that you can elevate to a level that it becomes a full-blown passion and interest and something specific that you can be excited about. And personally, I find those hobbies to be really great because they allow you to romanticize a very small but meaningful portion of your life. Updating my planner, journaling, sometimes even just watching 1 to 2 episodes of a very specific show or style of show, like all of that can become a very low effort hobby, and with just a little bit more intentionality, it can become not just something you do, but something that you look forward to and you can lean into. And also a little additional tip for the busy girlies out there, you got to set up systems that are going to reduce the time you spend on the hobbies if you want to actually be able to pursue them. So if you're going to be a gym girl, can you make yourself a little uniform and just buy 5 of the same outfit that you always wear to the gym, so that way you don't have to think about what you're going to put on your body? If you're going to be a cooking recipe girly, you got to make that grocery list and maybe schedule that grocery pickup, days, maybe even a full week in advance if you're going to block that time. Last but certainly not least, you got to get thrifty, and I want you to get creative. Case in point, look at this janky microphone. Look at how crooked this is, okay? Content creation on YouTube and on other social platforms really is an interest of mine that I enjoy, but between like cameras and lighting and microphones and computers and storage, it is expensive and I am not rolling the dough, okay? We are not monetized over here yet, okay? It'll happen soon, amen. So, I do what I can with the things that I have. and God willing, we'll elevate eventually, but I'm also fine with just doing what I can with what I got. Yes, this channel is called The Bougie Black Girls, and I've never been scared to spend a little coin, okay? But when it comes to my hobbies and interests, I actually do prefer to be a little bit thrifty. A, because I love to find a good deal. It's like a treasure hunt for me. But B, when I'm in like the early stages of a new hobby and getting new equipment, I never want to spend a ton of money because I may decide, in my exploration process that I actually need something else. So Facebook Marketplace and Mercari, great places to find a good deal, and to get feedback from people who are also in that community about like why this particular thing will or won't work for you, why it did or didn't work for them, etc. And that doesn't just extend to buying equipment. I think it also can extend to space and having the room to do the thing. And so when it comes to like athletic spaces and sports, the park is free and available. It's one of the few free places that we all have in many of our communities. A lot of people are struggling with quiet, private, isolated space to work and to create. The library is the space for that. My local library has so many different features like, a crafting area and sewing machines that you can rent. And one of the libraries in my community even has like a production studio for people to film videos and do podcasting, and you can rent a conference room for a couple hours and just film and do what you need to do. And so stop limiting yourself by what you have access to and what you can sort of slam your credit card down to buy, and start thinking about what you have right now and what you can get honestly for free. And speaking of free, there is so much free and low cost information on the internet. And I think we all need to really start taking advantage of it, especially if you're somebody who's saying that you want to learn how to do something or learn how to access something. Even as somebody with a master's degree, I learn so much on YouTube on a daily basis. These beautiful graphics and captions that you're seeing on this video, which is very different than the last few videos I've posted on this page. I learned how to do all of this over the course of like a day or two on YouTube. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to rattle off a couple of free hobbies that you can consider if you're interested. And I'm going to scoot on over to this side of the screen and look at my phone to rattle these off. So some options for you all to consider are cooking, working out, writing, painting, drawing, language learning, Entering a fan or a fandom space. This is one that I think I'm going to make a full separate video on, but if you are like an anime girly, or you're really into a certain musical act or musical group, you know, you were a boy band girl growing up, bring that to adulthood. I think that as long as it's done, you know, in a healthy way, that is a great and perfectly legitimate hobby for people to have. Reading, journaling, updating your planners, local travel, international travel can be expensive, so I recommend local travel. It can be much more affordable. TV and movie viewing, maybe getting like an AMC stub, you know, membership, and then like getting a letterbox account and reviewing movies once a week, once every other week. iPhone photography, you do not need an expensive camera. You can use your iPhone or your Android to get beautiful images around your community. Genealogy research, often if you want to start at the library, it is free and very accessible depending on where you're at and your own research skills. Volunteering, people need people to come help. And so if you've got hands and some free time, that's typically a low cost way to give back and to connect with people on something. And then intramural sports clubs, the YMCA, you know, the local gym. There's so many places where you can pay a very reasonable membership fee and join a league and do something that's interesting to you. And same goes with like community bands and choirs. So lots of stuff for you guys to consider. I don't want to hear anybody talking about how they don't have any options anymore. I just gave you a bunch right there. Okay, pick one. That is going to be it for today's video. Happy to be back. If you enjoyed it, again, make sure you like, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Toodles.